Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. So now guys, this video is going to be in 3 parts, so please look out for the subsequent 2 which shall be released today. So in this video we're going to the appeal court of Nigeria, and the case before that court is the nepotism of the Buhari regime. Guys, I bring you this: your lopsided appointments will ruin Nigeria, a headline attributed to an Umar Dangiwa. So that's the headline, and please pay attention to the person that is saying this, Umar Dangiwa. So the headline again: your lopsided appointments will ruin Nigeria, Umar Dangiwa hits Buhari. So now let's see what infighting is going on amongst the Malamis. Umar Dangiwa, retired colonel and former military administrator of Kaduna State, says President Muhammadu Buhari's knack for appointing people from his section of Nigeria into office will ruin the country. Dangiwa flayed the president in an open letter to him, citing the case of acting appeal court president whose appointment has not been confirmed. Buhari had extended the pro tem appointment of Monica Dogem Mensem, who is a Christian, as the president of the Court of Appeal without formalizing her position as substantive head of the appeal court. The president has not sent her name to the Senate for confirmation of her appointment. This has raised questions regarding the reasons behind the decision of the president. In an open letter, Dangiwa, who served as military governor of Kaduna State between 1985 and 1988 under the regime of Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, asked Buhari to emulate some past Nigerian leaders who showed great statesmanship. I have been prompted to write you this open letter, Mr. President, by the loud sounds of drums, singing and dancing that erupted within many groups in the last few days on the grounds that you have attained the 5th year in office as President of Nigeria. It comes as no surprise that enthusiasm for the celebration is not shared equally by segments of the public. Whilst your admirers and supporters believe you have performed well, many others believe the 5 years you have been in office as our president has not met the yearnings, expectations, and change promised Nigerians. Mr. President, you know me well enough and my position on issues to realize that I can be neither a rabid supporter nor a fanatical opponent of yours. I believe being a responsible citizen is enough reason to wish you well and to work for your success. As we have seen all too clearly these past few years, your success is ours, as is your failure. We swim or sink with you. You might wish to recall that after the results of the 23rd of February 2019 presidential election was announced, giving you victory, I addressed a press conference during which I urged the runner-up, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar of the PDP, to concede defeat. The reason was clear. Tensions were running high, and little missteps by the leaders might ignite violence, as often happens after major elections. Some supporters of Abubakar Atiku disagreed with me and told me off. As it happened, Alhaji Atiku went ahead to mount a legal challenge to the outcome of the elections up to the Supreme Court. Mercifully, his actions did not result in an outbreak of violence as we feared. At the same occasion, I cancelled the declared winner, your good self, to use the opportunity of your second term to redeem your pledge of being a leader and president of all Nigerians. On the occasion of the first anniversary into your second 4-year term, I feel there is an urgent need to revisit this subject matter. Mr. President, you have often expressed the hope that history will be kind to you. It is within your competence to write that history, but you have less than 3 years in which to do it. You may wish to note that any authentic history must be devoid of myth. It will be a true, factual rendition of the record of your performance. And truth be told, Mr. President, there are quite a lot of things that speak to your remarkable accomplishments, not least which is that for the first time in our democratic history, a sitting president was defeated. That feat was achieved by Muhammadu Buhari. The reason was the public belief of you as a man of integrity. The corollary to this is that at the expiration of your 8-year tenure in 2023, your achievements will not be measured solely by the physical infrastructure your administration built. An enduring legacy will be based on those intangible things, like how much you uplifted the spirit and moral tone of the nation, how well you have secured the nation from ourselves and from external enemies. At this time, and in light of all that has happened since you took office, any conversation with you, Mr. President, cannot gloss over the chaos that has overtaken appointments into government offices in your administration. All those who wish you and the country well must mince no words in warning you that Nigeria has become dangerously polarized and risks sliding into crisis on account of your administration's lopsided appointments, which continues to give undue preference to some sections of the country over others. Nowhere is this more glaring than in the leadership cadre of our security services. Mr. President, I regret that there are no kind or gentle words to tell you that your skewed appointments into offices of the federal government, favoring some and frustrating others, shall bring ruin and destruction to this nation. I need not remind you, Mr. President, that our political history is replete with great acts of exemplary leaderships which at crucial moments managed to pull this nation back from the precipice and assured its continued existence. A few examples will demonstrate this. In February 1965, the NPC-led federal government was faced with a decision to appoint a successor to the outgoing Nigerian Army General Officer Commanding (GOC), General Welby Everon, a Briton. Four most senior officers were nominated, namely Brigadier Aguiyi Ironsi, Ogundipe Ademulegun, and Maima Lari. The first three were senior to Maima Lari, but he was deemed to be more qualified due to his superior commission. He was the first Sandhurst regular trained officer in the Nigerian Army. He's been a Muslim northerner like the Minister of Defense Alhaji Muhammadu Ribadu and the Prime Minister Alhaji Abubakar Tafawa Balewa granted him the added advantage by today's standards, but to the surprise of even the Igbos and the opposition from senior MPC members, Minister Ribadu recommended Ironsi, pointing to his superiority. The Prime Minister concurred, and Aguiyi Ironsi was confirmed as the first indigenous GOC of the Nigerian Army. When on the 13th of February 1976, the Commander-in-Chief, General Muritala Mohammed, was assassinated in a failed coup d'etat, General Olusegun Obasanjo, his deputy and the most senior officer at the time, was sworn in as his successor. The Chief of Army Staff, General T.Y. Danjuma, a northern Christian, was next in line to succeed Obasanjo as the Chief of Staff. SHQ and Deputy Commander-in-Chief, General Danjuma, however, waived his right and recommended a much junior officer, Lieutenant Colonel Shehu Musaya Adwa, for the post. Shehu was promoted 2 steps up to the rank of brigadier and appointed Chief of Staff, SHQ, and Deputy Commander-in-Chief, Lieutenant Colonel Muhammadu Buhari was appointed Minister of Petroleum. This was done to placate Muslim North, which was deemed to have lost one of its own, Muritala, Mohammed, both the Chief of Staff, Mr. Sunday Adeniyi, and the personal physician, Dr. Ishaya Audu, to the Premier of Northern Nigeria, Alhaji Sir Ahmedu Bello, a direct descendant of Sheikh Usman Danfodio, were Christians. Barely 9 years after the Civil War in 1979, the NPN presidential candidate Alhaji Shehu Shagari picked an Igbo, Dr. Alex Ekweme, as his running mate. They enjoyed a truly brotherly relationship as president and vice president. President Shagari's political advisor, Dr. Chuba Okadigbo, and National Assembly liaison assistant Dr. K.O. Mbadiwe were both Igbos. His economic advisor, Professor Emmanuel Odozien, and his chief of personal staff, Dr. Michael Prest, were of Niger Delta extraction. Remarkably, all his military service chiefs were Christians, with the exception of his last chief of army staff, General Iniwa Wushishi, under whose tenure he was removed in a military coup d'etat. Mr. President, as a witness and beneficiary, it is our expectation that you would emulate these great acts of statesmanship, which is why we have continued to engage with you. You may wish to recall that I had cause to appeal to you to confirm Justice Onoge as the substantive Chief Justice of Nigeria a few days before the expiration of his 3 months tenure of acting appointment, to be replaced by a Muslim northerner. We were saved that embarrassment when your nomination was sent to the Senate by the then acting president, Professor Yemi Oshibanjo. When he was finally confirmed a few days to the end of his tenure, he was removed after a few months and replaced by Justice Mohammed, a Muslim from the north. May I also invite the attention of Mr. President to the pending matter of appointment of a Chief Judge of the Nigerian Court of Appeal, which appears to be generating public interest. As it is, the most senior judge, Justice Monica Dongam Mensem, a Northern Christian, is serving out her second 3 month term as acting Chief Judge without firm prospects that she will be confirmed substantive head. I do not know Justice Memsem, but those who do attest to her competence, honesty, and humility. She appears eminently qualified for appointment as the substantive Chief Judge of the Court of Appeal. If she is not and is bypassed in favor of the next in line, who happens to be another Northern Muslim, that will be truly odd, in which case even the largest contingents of PR gurus would struggle to rebut the charges that you, Mr. President, is either unwilling or incapable of acting on your pledge to belong to everyone and not to one person. I hope you will see your way into pausing and reflecting on the very grave consequences of such failure, not just to your legacy, but to the future of our great country. Thank you for your time, Colonel Umar. So that is Colonel Umar, of course, speaking truth to power as he understands it, but he can whistle in the wind for all he likes, because Mala Buhari, of course, is not going to give any regard to any. I mean, how long have we been saying this? It was from day one of this particular regime that we have been seeing this. Anytime they announce any governmental appointment, it's Abubakar, it's Umar, is Mahmoud and all these kind of names. There's never an Adebayo, there's never an Emeka that you hear. Maybe after they've announced like about 70, 80, 90 Abubakars and Umars, then they will say, oh, there's one Mayowa, and then they throw him as maybe T-Boy or something, some obscure irrelevance, and then another round of Abubakars and Umars, and that has been the story all the way through the history of this regime. I mean, just imagine it. All of the military structures, all of the security apparatus of this country, Nigeria, is headed by a northern Muslim. I mean, how can that be? Go through the list. You know, the army chief, the police chief, the DSS, the EFCC, the judiciary system, all of the structures, all of the apparatus of state that are of relevance and potency are headed by northern Muslims. So how can that be? How can it be the case that all of the apparatus of our state are headed by northern Muslims? There can only be two reasons why that would be the case. One reason would be that the most competent people in that country are northern Muslims, and we know for fact that that is not the case. The minister of power, he can't even speak English, never mind being able to tackle the electricity situation. The army chief is busy chasing girls in Abuja, whilst Boko Haram is running amok all over the country, to the point that a lot of people are pressuring Buhari to change him. So he is not fit for purpose. There is nobody amongst the whole group of them that is really fit for purpose. There's nothing that has shown. The DSS guy is running the DSS more as a Buhari thug outfit than the National Security Agency. So going around arresting anybody that is critical of the president is his own job remit. That is the brief of his own job. That is his understanding of his job. Showore, Dino Melaye, etc., Saraki, all of them, anybody that is against, even Adeleke. Do you remember when they were chasing Adeleke's school sat around, that he didn't have a school sat because the guy won an election? They decided to go and lock him up, you know. So this is what they do. So that could be the one reason, could be that they have the most competence in the northern region, which they don't. In fact, it is quite the opposite. The northerners, for the supposed size in population, which they allege that they have all this mass of peoples, for all of that, they are the least educated of all of the peoples of Nigeria, and they're the least exposed. So they don't travel much beyond like Arab countries, Muslim countries, and they don't have international exposures. They don't hold briefs internationally. They don't work internationally. Some of their richer ones will send their children to school in England, only for that child to then come back and just sit in the room and count the father's money and do fine boy and chase girls. So they don't really have, you don't hear of a northerner independently achieving anything in England, Germany, in America, in Canada, etc., etc. You don't hear that at all. You don't hear of a northerner who's been like a doctor or a scientist in the United States, or you don't hear that at all, and you don't see it all the way through. You hear that a lot of the southerners, but you never hear that of the northerners. The northerners have only one thing, is to sit fat on the Niger Delta petrodollar and continue to feast on it. So there's no reason to feel that they have any competence above anybody. In fact, they don't have any competence above anybody. We can state that as a categorical fact. So if they don't have any competence above anybody, and indeed they are incompetent, citing the example of the minister of power that I like to cite, I can also remember some minister of sport in the first tenure, the first time around, that he claimed to be a lawyer, and he'll be going around saying that the money spent has been spended. So that is a person that purports to be a lawyer. The money spent has been spended. So this is the sort of people that we have in the north, and these are the sort of people that are being appointed into positions that they don't even have the cranial function to be the driver of the person that is superintending those parastatals. So this is the sort of structure that we have in Nigeria. So if these are the sort of people and they're still in those positions, then why are they in the positions that they are? Well, it's tribalism, is nepotism, is ethnic phobia, is suspicion of order, is a Fulanization agenda, and all of these narratives that you are all aware of. So it has now gotten to the point that some of the more enlightened ones of these people are now coming out into the public space. And by the way, this is not the first one of these sort of videos that I'm doing actually over the course of this week. I think I did one on Ango Abdullahi, pretty much saying the same things earlier on in the week. So it is now getting to that point that even these people are going up to Malam Buhari to say, enough is enough, my man. Enough is enough of all this nonsense. Because this nonsense that you're doing, it serves no purpose other than the singularity of sustaining you in power. That is the only thing that what Buhari is doing serves, because the people that he's appointing, they don't serve the interest of the North, they don't serve the interest of the South, they don't serve the interest of, because they don't have the competence, is exactly why, it's the main reason why. So they don't serve any interest other than to brutishly sustain Buhari in power. That is the only thing that they do. You just recall how often what's the name of that prominent lawyer, or his name escapes me for the moment, the SAN, is always correcting this Abubakar Malami, the supposed minister, Femi Falana, yeah, that's the name. So you recall how often Femi Falana is always correcting this supposed minister of justice on points of law. The minister of justice that should have all of the requirements to be able to fully interpret the Nigerian constitution is now being guided through the Nigerian constitution by Femi Falana, a private lawyer. You know, this, we see this a lot, and it goes back to this competence thing. They don't have the competence to occupy the positions that they are put in. You know, so the minister of power is saying, what was he saying the last time? The minister of power, by the way, of electricity, he can barely speak English. He claims to be an engineer. He'll be saying value exchange and all this nonsense. The minister of sport and northerners, all these people are northerners, by the way. Of course, you already know that. The minister of sport will be saying the money spent has been spended. You know, so you already from that can tell the quality of persons that these people are, and from that quality, you are never going to get anything that will evolve in a way that will propel Nigeria in any direction that we want the country to go. They are there to serve the singularity of purpose, of ethnic and loyalty to Malam Buhari. So this is all they're there to do. And it's not getting to that point now that even the more enlightened ones amongst the northerners are now coming out to say, look, we have to appoint people of competence into positions, because what we do if we don't do that is just to continue to regress this country and move it backwards to the point now that we will be reversing whilst the rest of the world is moving forward. Because you can sit in Nigeria and claim that you have all of the guns and you are controlling the southerners because you have enslaved them, and you are taking all the more oil money, and you are thinking, oh, you are patting yourself on the back that oh, look, I'm a champion, I'm dominating them in their region and taking their oil and all. You can do all that, but outside the shores of Nigeria, the rest of the world is moving on. Ghana is moving on. Go to Ghana now and you will think you're in a foreign country. Go to Rwanda. It's one of the cleanest countries on the planet, not in Africa, on the planet as we speak, a country that is completely. Go to Ethiopia. So the rest of the world, not just even advanced countries now, because we are narrowing it to Africa, so the rest of Africa is even evolving and moving on, and what we are having is still this Janjaweed mindset. So now even the more enlightened ones amongst them are now balking at this, that look, this must now stop this nonsense, because you are not enough of our entity for you to be sustained in that position at this price. It's just crass vulgarity and crude just brutish sort of behavior. Is just juggernaut it through, brute force all the way through. This is really the only thing that we can use to surmise the Buhari experience. But that is not enough now for the more enlightened ones amongst them anymore. But will Buhari listen? Well, they can whistle in the wind. He doesn't really care at all. He controls the army, he controls all of the guns and the laws, and he will continue to sustain himself in power, and that is really all he cares about. Conversations in the comment section which way Nigeria, according to Sonny Okoso. Come tell me what your thinking is regarding the goings on in our country. But before you do that, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray. Bell button notifies you every time I drop a new video. Then come tell me what you're making of these now developments that we're seeing in our country in the comment section. So I'll leave you here. Carry this conversation on with you in the comment section right here. I say peace.